David Erdos with poem 14 from Unease and Verses from Difficult Times, which is about the difficulties rising between people, a new form of contagion or virus perhaps, as well as the position that we all find ourselves in when opposed to higher powers. It's a defence and a search for the victim on both sides of the line, as opposed to those with deplorable views, who must of course always be resisted. Dignity's name. True dignity comes once you learn to measure yourself against the vindictive onslaught of others. How far you allow your name to be slandered or actions misunderstood provides grace for even those who remain sunk beside their own soon-slipped shadow. In crossing the line, their false freedoms, which seek to attack what you are, stain each face, to the point where you could pick them out in the dark, as you can practically hear their eyes rolling, or detect the sounds rising, sourced from their strange discontent. As they take their stance, you are lanced for having dared to chase challenge, if just through opinion, as they refuse to understand what you meant. Such are the separations which stem around this sudden place of abandon. How does one defend oneself once that measure or dividing line is removed, especially with each of us prey to an entirely free form and structure, in which the future and what our expectation of it strives to serve forgoes proof? I was attacked this past week in a reasonably insidious way through the ether. Full-formed perceptions, summarily spun from part facts, but with the proper situation unseen or unrecognised by such people, who in spearing my side stirred shit's river to swill a contagion of sorts from gut acts. So, are we at a point in the world, as it considers itself to be open, in which the memory of how we were, more discerning, has been forgotten? Or, as with writing, has it been retranslated perhaps, across streets where locked rooms will be worn like masks, or an aura, and where we will be categorised ever further through the tragedies set by talk's traps? My particular people this week may see this poem appear on these platforms, and they may or may not choose to listen, as it naturally sings out of me. But as the fruits once sown start to rot, and the torn tree requiems raw, ripped paper, which forms of growth can be gardened through human nature's lost literacy? I've had misunderstandings before, so maybe I am both war and soldier. I exist for some to part treasure, and others, it seems, to ignore. One should never assume one is right. Just wait for the truth to deliver, or to deliver you from proof's burdens to the side or behind open doors. But if you are not as most are, and if you are formed from a searching, then you at least, right or wrongly, should be reconsidered or found, much like this work of mine may well be, fading fast into static, or echoing somewhere above or below common ground. Has a new language been made? Should we only communicate through a haiku, distilling sense and meaning and essence, of course, in that way? 17 syllables with which to appeal to all people? Or should we talk only in sonnets and let those 14 lines have their say? If you challenge a pose, you can pretty much guarantee you'll be bitten. And the mouth has always been the first weapon, and remains so still to this day. From the bullied child who falls close to the school that is supposed to be there to protect them, to the inferior man failing women who will release him fast from love's sway. And on to these people this week. Of course, each of you will have your example. And yet, whether you are subject or object, defendable or to blame, we each need fresh air, separate to the one COVID catered, streamed through refined scents and flavours from which dignity's brand stakes its claim. The woman you had loved may have left, or a monstrous man behaved badly. But in the catalogues we all carry, there are products to prize and reclaim, on the acceptable side of the line. At the present time, we're all victims. And so I ask you all, please consider. Call me what you will, but in striking, I and those like me, for survival, will seek ever further and quite possibly struggle, as we strain through surface to grant even simple dignity a new name. David Erdos, May the 14th, 2021.